Okay, so I've got an issue where my lathe is cutting across the workpiece and it's chattering. You can see where it started to cut, but then it, I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, it's actually chattering. So which means that when it's moving, it's digging into the workpiece and it's causing an uneven cut. Now this is smooth because I just started the cut, but the deeper I get into the cut, the more it chatters. And it's not the speed. I've already sharpened the bit. That's one of the things that you kind of got to go through just some due diligence to figure out what exactly it is. So I've already sharpened the bit. The bit is sharp. The pieces, is aligning to the center of the axis of this piece that's being turned. All the things that would normally cause that have already been analyzed. So what I've done is I've set up a dial indicator to see how much this is actually moving. Now, I did have a piece of shim stock in here at one point to shim this up to get a gap out of there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end up making the adjustment. There's 3 screws right here that you adjust a bar that's underneath here. You're going to see that in a second, in and out. And what it'll do, it'll take up any movement there is in the rail. And as you can see, uh, well, I've got a little bit of side to side movement, but I've got a lot of up and down movement, and you can kind of see that here from the dial indicator. You can see that movement, boy. There's quite a bit. A good 8 thousandths. Okay, yeah, it's about 8 thousandths. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust that to uh, keep this going straight. I've got to verify that it's going to be straight, square to the axis there, and then I'm going to take up the slack that's in this movement right here. And before I do that, I'm going to put some grease in there so it's working all nice and everything. Obviously, since there are moving parts involved, you're always going to have a little bit of yaw, so to speak, in a machine like this, especially one of these little hobby lathes, But you want to get it to its minimum, and I would say tolerance is probably, I would say 1.5 to 3 thousandths. It's probably about what tolerance is, to where that cutting tool is not going to chatter when it gets against the cut here. Now, if I was cutting steel, I'd have a real problem with this. This is brass. It's nice and soft. This is a carbide cutting bit, nice and hard. So I think I'm going to probably get this worked out. We'll see here as we go along. So as you can see right now, as it stands, it's about 8 thousandths movement in the axis of this, okay? Now that also means that there is a side-to-side movement here, just a very slight side-to-side movement. I don't want to determine how much that is because I'm going to get that out anyway once I have figured out this axis problem, or this problem here with the surface of this. All the movement should be taken out of it. So I'll come back on camera once I have this. Well, here, I'll go ahead and take it off. Okay, so just going to take this little guy off here, my dial indicator. Let's put it away. And I'm just going to take this axis loose of the lathe. And I did have it shimmed up with a piece of stock here. The stock's been pretty well used up. But instead of shimming it up with stock now, I'm just going to use the actual piece itself to shim it. So as you can see, if you look underneath here, there's a rail here that's actually screwed to this, and what it's designed for is it's designed to squeeze onto this rail right here. Okay, let me go ahead and show you. It's designed to to squeeze this rail so that you can limit the movement. So this piece, which is right here, has to be moved a little bit so that it's going to give me the same. Okay, so I was cut off. As you can see, it's a wedge design. Okay, that's what this rail is based on. And likewise, the underside of this is also a wedge. But you can also see that the piece that's movable, okay, is that piece right there. This piece right here that I have my thumb on, okay, that's got to be moved in and out to squeeze that wedge so that it limits the amount of movement that action, that this piece has on its y-axis, okay, or I'm sorry, on its z-axis. That's the z-axis. The axis that goes across is the x-axis, and it's as simple as that, really. But getting that right is going to be a little bit of practice here for me. These are the screws. They have, they take an Allen key. Once you get these nuts off, you can adjust them with the Allen key and get them right. And I want to get them right all the way across. And as you can see, at this point right here, it appears that this wedge is actually, got more gap here than it does here. So that's one of the things that, maybe the factory did that adjustment, but that's one of the things that I'm concerned about, and I'm going to see if I can get the go. Once I slide this back on here, I'm going to actually put more grease under there so that it slides across the axis smoothly, and that should do the trick. It should be able to fix the problem. Okay, so I put I put this back on the machine, okay? So it's the z-axis, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take these loose, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten that. Pretty simple fix, really. Oh, I want to take them a little bit looser than that. I'm going to take those screws off of there. These nuts off of here. Unloosen them, and I'm going to try to tighten it to where I don't feel. Yeah, I can feel it tightening there. So that's not the issue. It's probably back here. Tighten the middle also. Okay. Now it seems to have gotten rid of the issue, but it's a little bit too tight because I can't get it to move easily. So I'm going to back it off about a tenth of a turn. It's a real micro adjustment is what it is. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now we've got solid. This axis is solid now. So the wedges have wedged together and the axis is solid. I can get a measurement. Now as I go further out here, I should have pointed out where I had the dial indicator was right about here. I probably should have got it right to the edge because it probably would have showed, instead of 8 thousandths, it would have probably showed about 9 thousandths or maybe even 10 thousandths movement. So it appears that I've got it now. So what I need to do is I need to tighten down these nuts so that they're tight. And that should solve the issue. If it doesn't, I'll be back on video with another fix. Thanks for watching. Yes, I misspoke earlier. I wanted to also point out that, okay, as well as this axis, okay, which is the z-axis, the x-axis is also adjustable. You can see the little screws right here. So you can adjust it both ways. This lathe only has 2 axes. I'm contemplating adding another table here to where it would give me a 3rd axis, so I could, do another cross cut. It would make it a little bit easier than taking this thing loose and moving it. But for now, it is what it is. But that is the axis. Okay, so these are tight here. I'm going to have these tight. Now this axis here is less likely to go out of whack because it's a little bit wider. And I probably will have to adjust it at some point, but it is a more stable axis, than this axis right here. So thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.